Hello everyone. Welcome to the next lab of EC573 Advanced Embedded Logic Design. In the previous lab, we discussed about how to develop the microplace based embedded system using the GPIO and AXI timer. And in the previous lecture, we also discussed about the different interrupts, exceptions, and operating modes inside the ARM processor. In this lab, we are going to discuss how the interrupts are processed inside the Zinc SoC, and in the lab, we will simulate the same using the microblaze processor. So interrupt processing in the microblaze as well as the ARM is more or less identical. So we will follow the microblaze based interrupt processing. So to start with, now consider the embedded system deployed in the office for the security purpose. So this system may consist of the different sensors, camera, and the memory or the data center. So this embedded system needs to upload all the sense information which consists of the sensor data or the images or the video onto the cloud after the regular interval. So your processor is doing this task at the regular interval, so the processor is busy in doing this data transfer task. What will happen if an emergency event occurs during this task? Whether that emergency event processing or attention to the emergency event will be uh, done after completing the ongoing task, or it needs to be done immediately. Okay. So in such cases, the interrupts are used. So interrupt is a signal which is generated to indicate that the processor that its attention is required. As discussed in the previous lecture, the interrupts are outside the processor while the exceptions are generated inside the processor. And interrupts are generated by your peripheral as a specific response to certain events. So interrupts can be generated by the hardware processing units or accelerator inside the PL, or your IOP peripherals inside the PS, or it can be generated by the software interrupt also via SWI command. So there are internally generated interrupts. We also call it as the exceptions. They are divided by zero, illegal, prefetch abort, data abort, as we have seen in the previous one, and externally generated are known as the interrupts. So most of the time, these interrupts are generated asynchronously, but they are processed synchronously because processor is a synchronous machine. So it will process the interval at the rising edge of the clock edge. So as discussed in the previous lecture, interrupts causes a change in the program flow. Like you need to go to the vector table, then the interrupt handler and so on. So the normal program flow is halted at the end of the current instruction, and then you determine where you want to go based upon the type of the interrupt or exception. So you from that instruction you get the address of your interrupt handler, and then interrupt handler execution is done. After that you come back to your user mode, that is the normal program flow. So there are types of the interrupt which are the maskable interrupt. This type of the mask interrupts can be ignored. So the trigger event of a mask interrupt is not always important. It is the task of the programmer, that is you, the one who writes the user program, to decide whether the event should cause the program to jump or to the requested handler or not, whether you want to ignore the interrupt or not. Non-maskable interrupts cannot be ignored or should never be ignored, and these interrupts are much more important than the maskable interrupt. For example, power on, external reset. So when you press the reset one, your processor must go into the reset mode. It should not ignore that. Okay. Then you may have the multi-core system or multi-processor system where one processor might want to send the interrupt to the another processor. So in this case, you can use the inter-processor interrupts. So we are going to discuss how to configure the interrupts in the Zinc SoC. So inside the Zinc SoC, you can see that there are different kinds of interrupts being generated. Okay, so if you see the inside the SoC, there are software generated interrupts using the software SWI command. Then there are private peripheral interrupts we can see as a PPI, and there are shared peripheral interrupts. Okay, so details about what are the source of the interrupts is available in the dataset. You can have a look at this. There are multiple detailed information is there. So for example, in case of the private peripheral interrupts, you can see that there are 5 interrupts for CPU core 0 and 5 interrupts for the CPU core 1 in case of the Zinc SoC. So these interrupts can be coming from your global timer, or CPU has some initial private timers or some watchdog timers. So these are the watchdog timers are used to avoid your CPU gets hanged into the particular instruction. Okay, so to bring out the CPU from the hang state, these watchdog timers are used. Like when this watchdog timer are reached to the 0, it will generate the interrupt, and the CPU then will go through the reset process to bring it out from the your hang mode. Then there are direct interrupts coming from the PL, which can be directly connected to the CPU's private peripheral interrupts. Okay, so you can use it while creating the block diagram. Then you can see that there are shared peripheral interrupts. So these are the interrupts which are coming from the PL and the PS, or these are the interrupts coming to the PL also. Like from the peripheral, it can go to the PL, or from the CPU, you can go to the PL. So there are multiple interrupts are there. Here you can see that there are total 60 different types of interrupts are there. Okay, you can see that 16s are coming from the PL, 44 are coming from the PS, and from the PS you can send up to 60 interrupts to the PL. Okay, so this includes your different timers, your PS peripherals, Ethernet, USB, I2C. Then you have the from the PL, different IPs can send the interrupt. So various types of IPs, each IP you can generate an interrupt and send it to the CPU via shared peripheral interrupt. So all these interrupts you can see that are sent to the GIC, which is the General Interrupt Controller, which is programmed by the CPU to enable and disable some of the interrupt, to prioritize the interrupt. Then some of the interrupt can be processed by both the cores. So which core to get the particular interrupt, that is also decided by this GIC. So from this you can see that there are two interrupts, IRQ and FIQ, going to the each core of the interrupt, and from here you can see that then the processor goes to the appropriate mode, and then the corresponding interrupt handler execution takes place. Okay, so there are different types of interrupts are there. If you want to know more, you can look at the data set. So right now we'll focus only on the information we need for the today's lab. So this is just the same representation of the previous figure. You can see that for each core you have the FIQ and IRQ inputs. Then from the CPU 0, you have the private peripheral interrupts. You can see that these are the internal timers, watchdog timer, and the FIQ and IRQ interrupts coming directly from the PL. The same is true for the CPU core 1, and then some of these are selected and passed to the CPU interface. Similarly, there is a software generated interrupts, and then based upon the type of the interrupts, it can be passed to the one of the core. And there is a shared peripheral interrupts coming from the PL or the IOP 2PL or your CPU, this can be used. So in order to use the interrupts, we need to use the few driver functions to enable the interrupt functionality, to connect your interrupt to your GIC, to connect the GIC to your initialize the GIC to and connect it to your processor. So different kind of driver functions we need to use. So for the first time, this process may look a bit scary, but it's the same process which we need to follow for any type of the IP. So it is better repetitive process you need to use. So once you understand how to use the interrupt, then replicating it for the multiple IP is not a big challenge. So in the previous lab, what we have done is that we have used the AXI timer, and we have used the GPIO, and we use the up counter, down counter, and we display some values on the GPIO. So in the today's lab, we want to use this interrupt one. So to process the interrupt, you need a GIC. In case of the Cortex A9, the GIC is a part of the processor. As we have seen in the architecture, the GIC is a part of the processor. But in case of the microBlaze, GIC is not there. So what we need to do, we need to add the corresponding AXI interrupt controller IP, which is already there inside your IP catalog, and connect your interrupt to this in GIC, and the GIC will then forward it to your processor. Okay, so this is the one step we need to do. So this is the first part of the today's lab. Another part we need to cover in the today's lab is that, so whenever you use some print statement inside the SDK, these are get displayed on the UART. But since in the simulation we can't display it, so to display some this kind of statement, what we are going to do, we are going to add the another UART IP. So this will receive the data to be displayed, and then this will be transmitted on the UART pin. So what we will be doing, I have shared one test bench where we'll be receiving the data. So in the UART, you receive the data in the bits, like, with the start bit and stop bit. So we'll extract the information and we'll display it on the TCL console. Okay, so this is the one way we can display it. So I'll demonstrate you what is the meaning of this in more detail during the demo. So as I have discussed, in case of the Zinc SoC, you already have the GIC as a part of the APU. But in case of the microBlaze, you don't have the GIC, so you need to add the external GIP. But the configuration of the GIP of the ARM and the configuration of the GIC inside the microBlaze is more or less follows the same process. Okay. So now in the next video, we will discuss about how to enable the interrupt and how to configure the interrupt for a particular IP, and how to write the interrupt service routine.